Hey everyone, welcome to Amberg Acres. Today we're going to do a little bit different video. We're going to be talking about wolves. So it started out this morning, very cold night last night. I don't know how cold it got down to, but when I got up this morning, everything was white. It was definitely frozen hard last night. So if you haven't done your cabins, if you haven't winterized, you probably missed your opportunity because it was really cold last night. It froze hard. So we're taking a little drive this morning. We're going out on a public land, which is a couple miles from our house. And I do this every year. I go out and I pick different areas to go into on the public land. There's thousands of acres up here in Marinette County. So I just picked different areas. Last year I went right up here, right just about where I'm driving here. I went up and walked through and didn't see a whole lot of sign. Nothing that made me want to hunt there, you know. So today we're going to a different spot out, way out to the east, almost to the Michigan border. We're gonna check out some areas out there where they just logged them this year, this past winter. And I drove by, when my dad was up, so a couple weeks back, about a month ago. And I drove by, and it looks like it was growing pretty good, pretty good growth already. So that's where we're headed. We're gonna do a little talking about wolves on the way. So how many of you know there are wolves in Marinette County? Now, I watch a lot of Facebook, or I look at a lot of Facebook groups, and people post a lot of stuff. Is it a wolf or a coyote? So I'm going to try a little bit of clarification on what a coyote looks like and what a wolf looks like. And then there's also another one that can come into play, which is called a coy wolf. Now, I had a hard time while I was doing this research. I had a hard time finding out if there are actually coy wolves in Wisconsin. They tell me that they take up the northeast part of the northeast part of the United States is where the coy wolves are. So I don't know. I don't know if they're here or not. But I'm going to show you some pictures, and I'm going to compare the different, the coyote to the wolf, to the coy wolf, and I'm going to try and clarify some stuff, and I'm going to let you decide whether or not there are wolves, coy wolves. I know there's coyotes. They're all over the place here in Marinette County. So before I even started doing my research, I made up my own little drawing. I have my own videos on our property here in Amberg, Wisconsin, of a coyote, and I have lots of stuff on coyotes, and I usually delete them all. But this time, because I had some that I believe are wolves, I saved a coyote video just so that I could compare the two, so that you can see there's some definite differences. Okay, so before I even started researching this and looking online to see what I could find, I made up my own little drawing of the differences between a coyote and a wolf. And the first difference you're gonna see is the tail, because usually to get a facial shot, it's pretty hard to get a facial shot of any of these animals because they're usually running past your camera. So you're going to get a side view of the animal. So if you look at my chart here, the way I have it titled is size matters, okay? There's a definite difference between a coyote and a wolf. So according to the website, the wolves run anywhere from 50 to 100 pounds, where a coyote is 20 something to 50-ish, or even under 50 pounds. So huge difference in the size of the animal. The second thing you're going to notice is the tail. The coyotes have a wider bushy tail, and typically they have a black tip on the bottom of their tail. Now, I'm not going to say you're going to see that on all coyotes, but typically they seem to have a black tip on their tail. The next thing you're going to notice is the legs. All right, the legs on a wolf, they're way taller. They stand way off the ground compared to a coyote. They have longer, skinnier legs. They're, some people compare them, put a German Shepherd in there and say they look like a German Shepherd. I don't believe they look anything like a German Shepherd, okay? Yes, their face and their head is kind of shaped like a German Shepherd, but as far as the body goes, they're not. And the ones that I see around here are very, what's the word I'm looking for? Tall and lanky is the word I'm going to use. They're tall off the ground, and they're very thin legs, and their bodies are not huge like you see pictures of wolves with these big, huge bodies. So the next thing I need to explain is, where do our wolves come from? So according to the DNR, our wolves are basically a timber wolf, which is the eastern timber wolf, they're called. And the eastern timber wolf gets its name because it lives in the timbers. It lives in timber forests, and that's where it gets the name. Around here, some of the wolves are called the Great Lakes wolf. Okay, people just give them names. It's my understanding they're all a derivative from the gray wolf. So people that say, well, you don't have gray wolves in Wisconsin, well, that's the bloodlines that these all came from. It's my understanding. Okay, and you can go do your own research and prove me wrong and whatever, but I got a lot of my information right off of the Wisconsin DNR website. So, and you'll be seeing this in some of the charts and stuff. So, eastern timber wolf, okay? So now they're in Wisconsin, right? So the eastern timber wolf is not a big wolf. It's not when you see some of these pictures of these wolves on TV and stuff, those are not the kind of wolves we have here in Wisconsin, okay? They are in a form, the bloodlines are probably the same, but they are not the wolves that we have here in Wisconsin, okay? The wolves we have here in Wisconsin are a lot smaller. So that's why people mistake them for coyotes. They think they're coyotes. They're just a big coyote. They're not. They are wolves. They are sometimes a young wolf. I've seen one close up. I was in my tree stand, and it was definitely a wolf. It was not a coyote, okay? So that leads me to the last thing on my chart here is the head. A coyote has a longer snout. If you're going to compare a coyote looks more like a fox than it does a wolf or a dog. At least the most of the coyotes you see around here are that way. And that gets me into the next thing of the coy wolf. And I'll show you some videos later where I think these could be coy wolves and not coyotes and not wolves. And I'll show you why I think that. But the coyote is typically lower to the ground. Bushier tail, shorter legs, pointier snout, looks when he's running through your field, he looks more like a fox, like a big fox compared to a wolf. So that's where I think people are identifying these animals. All right. So now that you saw my chart here, let's put up the DNR right off the DNR website. Comparison between a coyote and a wolf. So on this chart, you're going to see they give dimensions, actual longer, the body is longer, body is taller. They point out the head, the ears, the nose, the weight of the animal, 5,500 or 55 pounds to 100 pounds compared to 20 to 50, huge difference, twice the size animal, basically, right? So this is the DNR's comparison between the coyote and the wolf. And in the DNR pages, I did not find any mention to coy wolves. So I did a separate search on coy wolves, and there is some statements that say that they could be in Wisconsin. Okay. So now let's throw in this picture of the three animals side by side: coyote, coy wolf, and the wolf. And again, you can see a definite size difference. Now, the pictures that I've seen of the coy wolves, they kind of have more of a face like a coyote, okay? And a coyote face, even though people think it looks like a wolf, it does not. The markings are completely different. A coyote face is more of a reddish brown, and I'll call it a ratty looking animal because that's what they look like. To me, they're just a ratty looking animal, okay? And that's what a coyote looks like to me. Their fur is all kind of matted and ratty looking, and their face isn't nothing. They have no very distinct, pretty features on their face at all, to me. So then you see the face of a wolf, and like I say, on your game cameras, it's very hard to get a good facial look at a wolf. But like I say, I had one when I was in the tree stand, I had one walk right up to me, and it was definitely a wolf. You can tell they have the nice mane on the side of their faces there. They usually have some black markings in their face that define the fact that they're a wolf. And then the snout obviously is a little stubbier, not that pointed fox looking snout, okay? So on this next video I'm going to show you, I want you to look at the tail. So the first ones I showed you were wolves, which I positively know those were some young wolves, probably separated from their pack. And you can tell just by the tail alone. You look at the wolves' tails, they're thinner, they're longer, they're all black all the way down them. And then you look at the coyote's tail, is more of a grayish, brownish, ratty looking, fatter tail. So now you look at these two here that I have that I'm thinking are coy wolves or something similar to a coy wolf, and they have the same kind of tail as the coyote, a bushier tail. It's mostly gray and brown down, and then they got the black tip on the bottom. And that's how I think those are still coyotes, or some hybrid form of a coyote compared to the little coyote that I showed you in the other video. That is why I think those are coy wolves, and they're not wolves, they're not coyotes, okay? So we're at our spot here. We're going to park here and take a walk. All right, so the last chart, or last couple charts I want to show you here are our population. They're like a population where wolves are in Wisconsin, and this is just right off the DNR website. They have a bunch of stuff on there. I mean, you can look at reports, you can look at all kinds of stuff. So if you look at this chart, they are mostly in northern Wisconsin, up in Bayfield County, Ashland County. That's the heaviest populations, I believe, is up in that area. Shawgomagon National Forest. but they're also here in Marinette County. And the one that surprised me is there's a whole bunch down in central Wisconsin, which I did not know those were down that far down in central Wisconsin. So with that said, that's just where they feel the general population is of wolves in Wisconsin. It doesn't mean you won't see them somewhere else. You probably will, but that's where the DNR feels the main populations are. So here is a what they call a depredation report. Now this is from, I believe it goes from February until like October of this year. And these are all the incidences in where wolves were reported to have attacked an animal. It shows you here that it shows you livestock. It shows you what county it was in. And it shows you what animal it attacked. Okay. So a lot of them are livestock. There are some pets. I think some of them are referred to as hunting, which is usually somebody's dog, right? Out hunting, and they're hunting with their dog, bird hunting or whatever, and got in a fight with a wolf. So there are pages here. There are pages and pages, and I'll scroll through them. I'll scroll through them here, and you can pause your video and look and see where these all are happening, and that's where the main population of wolves are. Now, from me just scrolling through it quick, I did not see anything for Marinette County as far as wolf attacks. But I do know that there are people that have had their dogs go missing and whatever, and you have to believe it's wolves more than a coyote. That's my thought on it. So after you look through all these charts and you look at my pictures, you look at my video on the difference between a coyote and a wolf based on what I see on my game cameras. And then you look at what the DNR has, their picture of a coyote and a wolf. And then hopefully this will help you determine whether or not you're seeing a wolf or a coyote when you're looking at your game cameras. And it's still very deceiving on a game camera because of the angle. You might have your camera higher or lower on the tree. It may be light or dark out. So the game cameras, I mean, they're great. I love them. I love looking at my videos on my game cameras, but they don't give you a perfect view of what you're seeing all the time. You're never going to get a perfect picture or a perfect video on the game camera. And that's why I do videos. I do not do pictures anymore. I stopped doing pictures years ago. I only do videos, and that's because you see a lot more on these videos. And I get it. It takes up space on the chip. It takes up the batteries faster. But hey, if you're not using video, you should be using video because you're going to see a lot more stuff than just a blur of some animal running by. So with that said, we're going to go for a little walk here. And if I come up with any other thoughts on my way back before I get back here, I will share them with you. So we're going to go take a look here and look and see if I can find some sign back here. And we'll get back to you. This is a big section they logged this last winter. And you can see the young growth already coming up. These are all popples, more than likely. These little yellow ones that you see in front of me here. But you can see a lot of new growth coming up out there. And I want to just take a walk around and see if there's any more buck sign here in this regenerated growth than we have on our property. Now, if I'm not mistaken, when I drove by this last winter, that was mostly white oaks and stuff they had out there on the road to get picked up. And they left the pines standing. So this was a big area of oaks that they determined needed to be logged. This is, I believe this is Marinette County land here. And I just want to take a walk back there and see what it looks like. See if we're going to find anything. So you can see we've had a lot of rain. It is November 12th, I believe, today. So we're almost to gun season. And I just thought today it's a sunny day. It's going to be a nice day for take a walk. All right. When you watch videos like from Jeff Sturgis and Seymour Deer and some of the other guys that do a lot of the forestry habitat type of stuff, they talk a lot about hardwood regeneration. So what is hardwood regeneration? This right in front of you is hardwood regeneration. Now I don't know what kind of tree this is, but typically when they cut a woods like this, where they actually clear cut pretty much everything, except they leave the pine standing, what's going to grow first are the popples. So this right in front of me here is a popple. And the reason the popples grow, if you have a stand of hardwoods, you know, you have a stand of hardwoods on your property, you're probably going to have popples in there. And you're going to have oaks, you're going to have maybe ash, although the ash has been pretty much decimated the last how many years because of the ash borer. You're going to have maples. So you're going to have a bunch of different types of hardwoods, and popple and birch, they are a hardwood. They're on the low end of the scale, of the hardwood scale, but they are still considered a hardwood. So the reason the popples grow is because the popple is a really fast growing tree compared to an oak or a maple. And you know, it probably goes popple and then I would think maple or box elder. So you got the popples, the box elders grow really quick. They're a fast growing tree, and then your maples and your oaks are probably the last because they are a much slower growing tree. So I would imagine that a lot of this stuff you're seeing, all these shoots coming out of these stumps, that those are probably popples. All right, and the oaks are growing somewhere. If I find one that I know is an oak, I will show you and see what that compared to these popples. But everything you see here, you see all the yellowish green leaves down right over there. That's all popple growing. So in another year or two, this is going to look like it's all popples growing. But you know, the oaks and that type of stuff will also be growing along with it. Let's keep walking here, and I'll see if I can find some other stuff to point out for you. But this is a huge area they logged. I knew they had a lot of logs out on the road there. You know, I could only see from the road, you can only see a little, like what looks like a little section that they logged. But this is a huge area they logged back here. So I would imagine, looking in this hardwood woods here, this is what this all looked like. I never walked back in this area before, but this is what it looked like with very little undergrowth in the woods, because the canopy up on top, the canopy covers the sun, so nothing grows underneath it. So I bet you know, in the middle of summer you could walk through here and there probably isn't a whole lot growing underneath all those trees. So now they cut it, and this is just going to go, within the next year or two, this is just going to go wild in here with little shoots coming up everywhere. There's a huge area they logged back here. I think what I want to do is I want to get down, see if I can walk down over there where there's cover, and that's where I think I would see more sign, right along the edge of the woods over there. Not so much on this side where the hardwoods are. Just my opinion. This here is one of the bigger stumps I've seen so far. And that's about you know, a little bit smaller than that was about the average size of what they were taking out of here that was sitting along the road. Now you can tell there's little to no regeneration around this stump yet, but I'm sure there will be. You know, there will be by next year. I bet you there will be some growing here. Right there you can see an oak. That's that reddish Right there, that's an oak. That's an oak regeneration. So see how short that is compared to all them popples you saw? That is why you see the popples, and it makes it look like it's all going to be all popples. But the oaks are growing. If you look at this, this is all eaten off. So that's what they're nibbling on. Now that was a much smaller stump. So maybe the smaller ones do the most of the regeneration, and the bigger ones don't. I don't know that for a fact. So this is just one section they did. Up the road there's another section they did. I don't know if they're joined down here somewhere. I can't really see it or tell, but they might be connected by that road there. Wonder how much the county got for that wood. I'd like to know them numbers. I wonder if there's a place to go look that up. So here's some other regeneration. I'm not sure what this is. I really can't tell you. Maybe I'll use my camera once. There's some green leaves right there. I'll see what it says on my phone. So I don't know how well you're gonna see this, but you see this little camera right here in your Google box? If you click on that and then take a picture of something, it will tell you what it thinks it is. So I'm gonna snap a picture. And what it comes up with is all different stuff. So one of them here says it's a birch, could be a birch. Hornbeam, I don't know what a hornbeam is. So unless it's a definitive picture that it can tell what the tree is, it sometimes gives you too many options. So let's try it on a different tree. We'll go take a different picture. A lot of deer tracks in here. So it's a good sign. But it's muddy, and when it's muddy, you get a lot of tracks, regardless. One deer can make a lot of tracks going back and forth. So let's take a picture. Pretty sure this is a popple right here. So the name it's giving me is Populus, which I believe is just a poplar tree. And I'm almost certain those are popples, because we have them everywhere on our property. But they have a lot of different names. They give you this weird, the weird name, the scientific name for it. And then we have all kinds of different slang names for them once they're in our area. The problem with these areas like this, it is really hard to walk through here. Really hard. So this one here looks like some kind of a maple. Now you can see that's got some pretty good regeneration on it already. Nothing compared to the popples, though, how fast they regenerate. But that looks like a maple leaf on that one right there. Now, it doesn't look like they gave me a good path down there. My best bet is walking in there where they didn't cut anything. So this one here looks like it could be an oak with these red shoots coming out of it. So that's all the further the oak regenerated in 1 year compared to all them popples. Yeah, it's way behind. Yeah, so I scanned one of the bigger trees now, and it is showing me that it's an aspen, which is basically a popple. But I'm standing right in the middle of them here, and these are there's some of them are over my head already, and that's just in 1 year growth compared to an oak. There's some bright red shoots down there. I want to go look at those down there and see what those are. So they did this kind of cutting, oh boy, I bet you that's 20 some years ago already, in the Kettle Moraine where I used to hunt. And that was such a beautiful spot. It was all, you know, large pines and stuff that I could walk through there so quietly and get back to where I sat. And then they did this to it. And yes, this is beneficial for everybody, animals, whatever, the trees. But man, it just kind of ruined my hunting spot trying to get back to where I wanted to be. So I had to make new trails going around all of this stuff to try and get in where I wanted to get. I'm thinking they put these branches down so they weren't sinking in the mud, because last year it was really warm. It didn't freeze hard. So this was probably really muddy for them. So they throw these branches down like this, and then that gives them something to drive over with their big machine. So here's a beautiful view of regeneration. This is a stump, and it's all the way around. It's growing. You can see how they're nipped off on top from the deer eating on them. And that leaf looks like an oak leaf to me. Really tiny little oak leaves. See if I can get one here that's a full-size leaf. Yeah, that's definitely, I believe that's definitely an oak. Not sure what kind of oak at this point, but definitely an oak. All right, we're gonna venture into these cedars here and see what this looks like right on the edge of all of this stuff. I always liked these cedar woods. I always liked hunting in them, next to them. So I pulled up my Hunt Stand app. You can see this is Marinette County, and you can see that this drops. I'm standing right on the edge of the cedars, and this drops down into a creek bottom here. So we're gonna walk around a little bit more and see what I can find here along this edge. Well, we're headed back to the truck. I walked down along in there, and it's really cool back in there in them cedars. But there still wasn't the definitive sign that I want to see. Like when I hunted the Kettle Moraine, I could walk into certain areas, and it was the same areas every year, and I could walk in there and there would be rub after rub after rub on the small popple trees, and there were scrapes all over the place on the ground, and I don't find that sign up here in the North Woods, or I haven't found it yet. And I will let you know if I ever do. But it's kind of, I'm sure it's here somewhere. I just haven't figured out where that spot is. And when I do find it, there's probably 20 hunters sitting in that same area because they found the same sign that I was looking for. Unless I'm still too early. It's November, like I said, it's November 12th. Last night was the first night I've seen a doe and a buck since the middle of October. And he was on her tail. But it was Mutt, the unicorn that I always see. I gave him the name Mutt. And it was him, and it was the doe that's normally out there with her fawns. And she wasn't having nothing to do with him. So I'm really not sure what was going on there, if he was just being a young buck the way they act, or what. That was the first sign of any kind of rut that I've seen this year, and it's November 12th. So we're gonna keep looking. Hopefully we can find something someday, another spot to hunt when we're not seeing nothing on our property. Well guys, we're back home. It's a beautiful day out, and I think I'm gonna go sit in a tree stand the rest of the afternoon. So, you know, if you like these videos, give me a thumbs up. I hope you know all about wolves now and coyotes, and we'll catch you on the next one.